So let me have one more enforcement topic, and this is for you, Joe, but also Mark, on whistleblowers and the tips, complaints, and referrals system. I think I saw the stat, and you probably have it better than I do, but it was approaching 4,000 tips that came in last year to the commission. So that's something in the order of 15 a day, every business day of the year. How has that changed the nature of how you identify cases and the feed into the data concepts?
I'll start with it, Mark. Yep. Mark and Anna. I mean, from our perspective, it's been really transformative. The increase you're talking about is roughly 4,000 last year. That's about a 30% increase over 2012, like 1,000 more whistleblower tips over a span of 3+ years. And it really has changed in a lot of the ways the way we do things. You know, earlier this week we announced a $2 million payout to 3 folks who helped us start an investigation and then help us go along with it. And it really has changed the way we do things. And from your perspective, I mean, one of the significant things you have to think about is that how it affects the decision of a firm when it identifies misconduct internally about what you do about it. Because if as you go through the decision process of do we tell the government about it, do we not tell the government about it, you really have to be cognizant of the fact that this is another path for us to find out about things. And you know, Andrew has said this a lot, and it's something that we all believe, that if we find ourselves in a situation where a whistleblower comes to us and gives us information about a problem that the entity knew about but decided not to tell us about, we have to ask ourselves, what does that say about the entity and the way that they're doing business?
Well, we in DERA, we were the business owners of the TCR system until recently. And one of the interesting things, first of all, every one of these 4,000 tips, complaints, and referrals gets quite promptly directed to a real person in enforcement, and it gets serious attention. One of the things that we are working on behind the scenes is we're working on a system for taking all of the historical tips, complaints, and referrals and designing a mechanism so that we can search them for similarities and differences. Okay, so if we want to know, for example, that we've got X number of complaints about the same firm or the same broker, and that has been that's a little bit behind the rest of the system. We're working on making that better. So I think it's going to continue to be a source of good information for the enforcement folks.
And one thing just to keep in mind is that the whistleblower tips are only a subset of the TCR complaints that come in every year. So if you get 4,000 whistleblower tips, I think we get like 15,000, 16,000 tips, complaints, and referrals generally.
15,000 was the number I'd always used, and I was making a mental note that you must be right, but that's the distinction. Yeah. So being a whistleblower could be pretty good business.
It is. We've given out $57 million now to people since the program started in 2011, and $30 million in one case, and that's, you know, it's life-changing money for people.